from our call. It's the announcement that many were waiting on. Vice President and presumptive Democratic nominee Kamala Harris announced her running mate. It's Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. He's 60 years old, and he gained popularity in recent weeks for his line of attack against the Republican presidential ticket, labeling the former president and Senator J.D. Vance as weird. Walz is a military veteran. He served 24 years in the Army National Guard, and he served in Congress for 12 years before going back to Minnesota to return as governor. And he's a champion of veterans' issues and union organizing and workers' rights. And he's also a former teacher and football coach. Joining Capitol View this week is Sarakshi, and she's the Director of Audience Development and Head of Social Media with our media partners at The Hill. Sarakshi, welcome back. Well, there was a lot of speculation on who would be her pick. Many thought that it was going to be Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, but it's Tim Walz. Is he the right choice?
Well, she certainly thinks so. You know, she trusted her gut, and there were a lot of things that we were hearing from sources close to her about how, you know, she went to bed just because she wanted the night before the announcement, you know, one last chance to think about things. And she thought he was the right choice for her. You know, she announced her choice of Tim Walz in an Instagram post. They shared this phone call that the two had. And in a text message to supporters, you know, she really praised his support for middle-class families and his personal history of serving in the National Guard, as well as working for a teacher. You know, so she considered it, and she had an incredibly short amount of time within which she had to decide who to pick as her running mate. Now it's, you know, not even a month since President Biden announced he was not going to run for re-election. So in that very short amount of time, she has gone with her gut so far and picked Tim Walz as a running mate.
Well, the former president, Donald Trump, said that really only the top of the ticket matters. Many may agree, many may disagree, but why do you think she went with Walz?
You know, Tim Walz really emerged as this dark horse contender for the number 2 position, you know, at the Kamala Harris White House. And there were some high-profile names in the mix, right? Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro is well known. You know, state of Pennsylvania is important. He was really high up. Arizona Senator Mark Kelly was also talked about, and really those two dominated the early portion of the sweepstakes, you know. But on Tuesday, at their first appearance together at the rally in Pennsylvania, we saw some of what Tim Walz and Kamala Harris's chemistry looked like, and they both seemed very comfortable in their new roles. You know, he gushed over how joyful her campaign has made the country, and he really looked at ease next to Kamala Harris, and I think that played a huge factor in why she went with him. It was definitely, you know, a lot had to be said for the chemistry that those two share.
Talk about his background. How will his background help the ticket in the polls and also just moving forward during the rest of the campaign run?
Kamala Harris is really hoping that Tim Walz will strengthen the Democratic ticket in the Midwestern states and among working class workers. You know, we know that he doesn't have much of a national profile. 70% of Americans polled in the lead up to when she made the announcement kind of said that they didn't know who he was. So he kind of is a blank canvas that American voters are just now coming to get to know. So this is his opportunity to really show the voters who he is. You know, and a new survey since the pick of Tim Walz as the vice president running mate to Kamala Harris has shown us that, you know, Vice President Harris and former President Trump are neck to neck in swing states. Now, you know, we've seen historically that the vice presidential candidate doesn't really swing things too much, but this just shows how much fervor is behind the Harris campaign as well. You know, we saw a new poll from Ipsos where voters in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona, and Nevada have Harris and Trump in a statistical dead heat for the presidency. So things are definitely heating up with less than 90 days to go until Election Day.
90 days to go, right? How are Republicans, including the former president, responding to this ticket?
Look, we've heard a lot of chatter from the Republicans. Some of the Republicans said that they had a sigh of relief when she had picked Walz and not Shapiro. Some of the Republicans said that she made a mistake by picking Walz over Shapiro. We heard from President Donald Trump, who said that, it's just the top of the ticket that matters. J.D. Vance has said he can't wait to debate the guy. Walz has said the same. We're hearing the attack lines that, come about at this point in the campaign. And they're responding, but there is a sense of concern among former President Trump's supporters because we are seeing this rise of Gen Z and millennial voters who are coming out in support for the Harris campaign. And there is some kind of momentum behind them right now. But we're hearing from President Trump at his press conference. We're seeing a lot of J.D. Vance on the campaign trail. So the Trump campaign is responding to this new Harris-Walz ticket as well.
Sarakshi, thank you very much for joining us.